What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Old Volks TV. It's together, as promised. We missed our trip. We didn't get to go because I guess New Mexico is all on fire, and the park was closed, and we weren't able to make it. So you know, it's a bad thing, those fires up there. And we didn't want to take a chance anyway, so postponed until next time. The next trip coming up. That's 2 we've missed. It's kind of a bummer. But it gave us time to get this motor back together without rushing. You know, hopefully everything is on there good. We should be in pretty good shape. So it's all together today. We're gonna put some oil in it. You can see I've got no oil over here. We're gonna put some oil in it and we're gonna fire it up. We're gonna run it. We're gonna get it hot. We're gonna get these carbs tuned. We're gonna get the timing dialed in. Perfect. And then when everything is super perfect, then, and only then, take Gary's motor out, slide this thing in the bus, and go for a ride. It has been so long since I've driven that bus. That starter I got, it's like the 4th one from the auto parts store. I won't say where, but man, I just can't get a good one. They just keep going out, and now you whack it with a hammer and it don't even start still. So no good. Going back to my good old 6-volt starter. This motor has the 6-volt flywheel on it because we had to switch them last time because it was a 6-volt transmission. When I had the 1835, I hogged that thing out and made it fit a 12-volt flywheel, but I don't have a 12-volt flywheel anymore. This motor, I'm just going to keep that 6-volt. I know that starter works. It's never failed me. So we'll just see. You know, we'll put that back in there. With the motor out, it would be so much easier to put that starter in there. I've got my gas can, I've got my extra fuel line hooked up, I've got my starter contraption that I picked up from Gary. It's just an old transmission that they hacked off the grindy part, and then there's that 6-volt starter we were just talking about bolted on there, and we'll show you how this bolts onto the back of the motor. And then Tony is supposed to be coming with the starter bolt for me because I don't have one anymore. And we're going to get this motor down on the floor. Much safer to start it on the floor than it is on this table. I feel like if it's going to fall, it's not going to fall on the floor. So we'll just support it with a couple 4x4s under the sump and see if we can get this thing to start up and not leak. So flip this around, we'll show you how to get this ring on there, and we'll do our best to get it started. So this thing goes on pretty easy. You basically just bolt it up like you're bolting up a transmission. Got your 2 bottom bolts in the case, and then you'll have a couple bolts in the top. And it just attaches right on. And you're supposed to use the the same nuts that you would use to mount the engine in the car, but mine are currently being used to hold an engine in the car, so I can't. A lot of people don't use that 3rd bolt anyway, so I'm going to leave it off today. Just because we're starting this thing on the floor, it doesn't matter. But I am going to put the top bolt in the starter here because I want that to be tight at the top. So I'm going to tighten the bottom ones, and then we're going to get the top one when Tony brings it. And then we'll get this thing on the floor, and then we'll get it hooked up. Got to hook up some electrical, so I'm going to need to get my little jumper cables out, and then I've got this little starter button here, and use that. Hook up one end to the battery, hook up one end to the starter, push the button, starter goes, let go, starter stops, and the engine should be running. But I do still need to hook up like a hot wire to the coil and the alternator from the I guess not the alternator. I guess that goes to the battery. So yeah, that would get hooked up to my spare battery. This would go to the spare battery because this is 6 volts. We don't want to hook anything up to that but the button. So when Tony gets here, we will come back and we will get to work on starting this motor. Before we put it on the ground and get it fired up, there's a few things we need to double check, triple check, just to make sure everything is good to go before we start it. We've got our carb set to our baseline setting. I'm going to have to take the linkage off once we get it fired up. We'll have to take that off to make the adjustments on them. And then we'll put that back on and we'll adjust the linkage afterwards, because we don't know where those arms are going to be, so that has to be done later. We're going to have to set our initial timing. I'll show you how to do that, but I like to set mine at 10 degrees. It's a good starting point. Usually they fall between 7 and 10 at idle anyways, so that we can get up to the 28 that we like full throttle. So we're gonna just start it off there. Hopefully it'll just fire right off. We won't have to sit there and hunt for it. We want to make sure that our belt has the proper tension. MST says we should have about a ½ inch of play. So we got that. Cap and rotor are good on there. The plug wires are in the correct order. Our fuel hoses, I think this is how they go. I don't know. We're going to find out. I can never remember if it's in and out or if it's in and out. Tell me in the comments, but it'll be too late because I've already started the motor. This is one of them kooky Brazilian ones. I'm just doing this right now to start the motor. We're actually going to do an electric pump, but that's already all on the bus. So we won't worry about that. This is for just right now to run it on the floor. Obviously you want to make sure you have oil, and our fuel lines back here, everything's hooked up. It's nice and tight. We've got all our compression fittings properly. See, I'm already noticing I'm missing a spring on this side, so that's got to be addressed. Anything that we loosened up, we want to make sure that we tighten. So all my case bolts when we did that oil pump are tight. I got my oil lines on here nice and tight. I've got my spacesuit material so we don't burn them on the header. This is just looped for now until we get the motor in the bus, then I'll put the cooler in. We replaced the oil pressure sending unit because the other one was kind of kooky, so got a new one there. Exhaust is all tight. This is tight. Tins are on. All my screws are there. Everything in the back, the coil is hooked up to the distributor. I think we're good. So, well, jump in. I'll show you how to get that initial timing set up, and then we'll get this on the floor. We'll get it wired up, and we'll push the button, and we'll see if it starts. So you want to make sure that you have a baseline timing, before you go cranking it over. So what we're going to do is we're going to put this top dead center. This helps when you have the broached pulley nut, because you can just jam that ratchet right on there and it's no sweat. And this should be the little notch, should be pointing at the little ridge right here. That's number 1. So we're good. So that's lined up. So what I want to do is I want to put this, I personally like to just set that at 10 degrees initial timing, and then take our little ratchet here, and then we turn. Oh, that's not enough. So we turn that until the notch lines up right there. So that's our initial timing. I'm going to leave that distributor kind of loose so that when I start it, if it starts, it starts. But if it doesn't start, we can give it a little tweak, and get it where it needs to be. We also are going to add oil. So when I dumped the oil out and I knew I was going to have this thing apart for a while, I put the little flag on the dipstick, no oil. That's important, so we don't forget to put oil in there. Alright, we are officially in day 2 of this 15-minute job of trying to get this motor to start on the stand. I know it's a little bit janky of a stand, but I've started motors with way less. I've gone through 3 starters. The one that came out of the bus, one that our friend Tony brought by today, and one that I picked up from Gary, VW Life. This is a known good 6-volt starter, and it should be good. I mean, it was in a car that ran. Should be fine. My switch is good. My battery was not good yesterday, but I went and swapped it out at the AutoZone. 2-year warranty on Duralast batteries, just so you know. No money, unconditional, 2-year warranty. So Duralast batteries, that's the one you want for cheap. And this one's good. It's reading on my meter. It's giving me like 12.6 volts. It's a 6-volt starter. The thing should be kicking like crazy. And what's happening, and this is the best of the 3, it's acting like it's got a dead battery, but it doesn't. Like, nothing's hot. Everything feels fine. My connections are good. I cleaned them. I don't know why it's not. I'm not even trying to start it. I'm really just trying to get it to crank over. I don't even have fuel on it yet. I put the oil in it, and I rolled it over by hand to prime the system. I know I got oil everywhere because I watched the oil level drop. I checked it and, you know, put in 3 quarts. I got a quart sump, so it's a little low, but it's still enough. It should be, you know, it's lubricating. It's not jamming up on anything. If I take this starter out and just try to do this on the ground, it just pops. It doesn't even rotate. I don't know what's wrong. It's driving me absolutely bonkers. And I am this close to just pulling that flywheel off and putting my 12-volt flywheel on. I just don't want to do it. It's such a pain to set up the shims. I thought I could just run it, tune it, and slap it in, but it's looking like that's not going to happen. So we're going to have to end this one on a wah-wah because I can't get it to fire up. But at least you see how to put the starter ring on and mount the starter, and you know, you put the one part of this to the tab, and you put this on the positive post, and you put the other half of the switch on the positive post, just like that. And then when you push the button, she should fire up. I got the coil going to the positive post. You know, that should be enough to get it to go. It's just not turning over. The only other thing you'd have to do is dip that hose into a gas can, which I got, and you know, give it some fuel, and it should fire up and run. It doesn't know it's not in the car. So I'll keep playing with it. If I get it, I will post another video early and let you know that I got it. But it's 106 degrees, and I'm tired, and I'm ready to just sell it all. It's killing me. I hate it when this happens. So, I don't know, buy a shirt from our website, and maybe it'll let me afford a brand new starter. And check out all our links down below, visit all our friends, hit that subscribe button, ring the little bell, and thanks for watching.